but years ago was when you were wrapping up your tenure with WCW. Of
Yes.
course, the story begins with WWE, but it ends with WCW. You end in a match, teaming, of course, with Dave Taylor. You took on the Steiners um, in your last match. Just real quick, what was your attitude, mindset like in this period of WCW? I know we're going to get into a lot of personal issues,
Yes.
but as far as where you stood in the company, I know that's not something you necessarily worry about, but Nitro, WCW, everything was changing very quickly. How did you feel being part of WCW at that time?
This is where it gets serious for me. From 1997, and there's a point that I'll get to in a minute. I've been very open about my substance abuse things. 19 from a certain point in 1997 through 1998, I was, off the rails completely. So by the time I wrestled the Steiners in 1998, that wouldn't have been that would have been great for me because, but I can't remember it. I was very, very heavily into a lot of stuff at that time, and um, taking a lot of pain pills and a lot of muscle relaxers and mixing it with a lot of other stuff. At that point when I was in WCW, and I should have been fired, right? They should have fired me before that. So that particular time, I tried to clean up. In 1997, we found out off a Chris Jericho podcast lately, I was wrestling with a broken neck since 1993, September of 1993. So there was times when I had a lot of neck pain. There's a lot of things that we can get into in different things of why I ended up where I ended up as far as substance abuse. Some of it was just because I never did anything, and then you're looking for something that isn't there and try a bit of everything, because I was in my 20s, and I'd worked really hard to get to where I got to, but then you realize what next, in my case, and you look for something that isn't there. Some of it was injuries, but that's just an excuse because you only need it for a certain amount of time. Basically, I like taking the stuff. And then it got to a point where when you take a lot of narcotics or certain things, you try stopping taking them and you become incredibly ill, violently ill. So to keep going, you don't say anything. And every time you try and stop, you get violently ill. So it's just a cycle. Still all on me. It's still my fault, because I should have got some proper help, but I didn't. I wasn't at that place yet. It was WWE that finally got me there, but we'll get into that because that's going to be part of this story. But I'd had a real bad flare up with my neck, again in early 1997. Real bad flare up. And so whatever I was taking at the time was sort of just for fun and didn't really need it. Then I needed it. I didn't. That's an excuse. I didn't need it. I just took a lot.
It made you feel good. It made you.
It just took everything away.
Yeah.
Because the days of me enjoying that, taking that stuff, the days of me enjoying it, of taking stuff when it made me feel good, were long gone. It was just taking lots of amounts of it to try to get that feeling again, which never comes after a while. But also then, on top of that, my neck was in serious a bad way. I'd had a really great wrestling year in 1996. I think one of my best wrestling years. I'd been all over the world, and was the wrestler going all over the world then. I was wrestling in WCW. I was wrestling in New Japan regularly. WCW will let me go to Europe. I did wrestled in England. I wrestled in Germany. I was doing a lot of stuff. I was working with, Sting that year, the Great American Bash. I was on TV all the time.
And your career was completely on the upswing at that time.
On the
too.
upswing.
Really big time. Everything was bigger than the last
Yes.
thing.
Well, it's a reality, but it was still, I was going through different body, as wrestlers do. And that was a lot of it was just, this is what wrestlers, you're going to be in pain. You're going to be whatever. I was doing whatever I was doing at the time. But there was times when I wasn't. And it was more for, I like the feeling. Even like